Welcome to FailCraft, the podcast where we dive into the messy, real side of success and explore how setbacks become the stepping stones to growth and clarity. I'm your host, Ezekiel Liferia, and today's guest is Sean McManus, a strength and nutrition coach who is on a mission to get men off the sidelines of their own lives. But before he was helping Christian men build confidence and discipline, Sean was stuck in the corporate grind, facing a wall of burnout and what he calls quiet dissatisfaction. He realized he was succeeding on paper, but failing in the areas that mattered most: connection, purpose, and vitality. He is here to share the scary reality of walking away from comfort to rebuild his life from the inside out, and how he now uses fitness as a tool to forge better fathers, husbands, and leaders. Sean, it's a pleasure to welcome you to the show.
So thank you, man. I'm excited for our conversation today. It's going to be good.
Well, likewise, let's dive in, Sean. Your bio hits hard because you talk about a quiet dissatisfaction and a crisis of identity that happened while you were chasing corporate success. So that's a feeling so many men recognize but rarely admit. So can you take us back to a specific day or moment where that dissatisfaction got too loud to ignore? And yeah, tell us, what did it feel like to look at your successful life and realize s- it's like it wasn't actually something you are fulfilled with?
Yeah, of course. So I was just doing what I thought was the right thing, and probably for a season was the right thing. I went to college, got out of college, and got a corporate job, a corporate safe job, which is what I heard. All growing up, that's what I had to do is get a safe job, especially if I wanted to have a family and support a family. So that's what I was doing, and I was there for. I worked for that company for around 8 years, and within probably the first 2 to 3 years that I was there, I started getting pretty bored, but I really wasn't paying much attention to it. And I have a younger brother rather that runs a large landscaping company. And him and I were together one day and he just asked me, he said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "What are you doing? Like this place where you're working, what's the goal? Why are you there? What's happening?" And that was kind of a wake up call for me. And we started kind of talking about personal development and what it would mean to kind of make a bigger impact and lean more into some type of work that was fulfilling for me, or some type of work that was would lead a bigger impact on my family and also on my community. And so that was kind of the starting point of my personal development, self-development journey. From then on, I started listening to some audiobooks. I was listening to podcasts. I was consuming a lot of information about a lot of things, and it was really opening up my mindset on different things in terms of like finances and work and entrepreneurship and fulfillment, and finding a work that is fulfilling to you and to the purpose that God put in your heart. So I started going down that road, and the more I learned, and the more my eyes were open to this completely different world, the more unrest that was in my soul and my mind while I was at my job, like my corporate job. I would go to work, I'm doing the same thing day in and day out. I was kind of capped on income. There really wasn't a lot of opportunity for advancement. I tried to move up the chain a little bit and had gotten passed over for different reasons. And so as I continued to work there, I just this feeling of dissatisfaction, the quiet dissatisfaction, discontentment, and just unfulfillment. It was just like, oh, I'm not, like, this is not getting me anywhere. This is not what I want to do. This is not moving me forward to where, at some point in time, my life is going to look better than it does now. It's like we're surviving, and that's it. So that's kind of what started kind of the process of me going a different direction.
All right. Thank you very much for sharing that story with us, Sean. So, you talk about men standing idly by or just living in cultural passivity. So when you were in that corporate funk, so did you feel that passivity in yourself?
I did, yeah, 100%. It was just I'd kind of gotten stuck in this loop of routine, and it wasn't that there was anything necessarily wrong with my routine. It's just I was doing it day in and day out, and the days were passing by, the weeks were passing by, and eventually the years were passing by, and I really wasn't taking stock of my life and where I was and where I wanted to be, and I wasn't planning ahead and things like that. It was just like, I'm going to go to work, I'm going to get my job done, I'm going to get my paycheck, and I'm going to pay my bills. And that was it. And Ezekiel, that's like, I see a lot of men get stuck in that cycle. And it's not that they're doing anything wrong necessarily. It's just they're kind of asleep at the wheel, if you know what I mean. Like they've gotten into this habit and this routine, and they've gone down this path that they were told to go down, which is, go get a safe job, and as long as it provides income, for you, for your family, like the safest option is for you to stay there. Like you don't need to move, even if you don't like it that much, as long as it's providing a decent income for you and your family, and it's quote unquote safe, then you just stay there. You just keep working. And men that are in that situation, in the situation of like they're unfulfilled at their job, they feel like they have to stay there because it's the safe option, but they're slowly dying inside, and they're slowly just getting caught up in this day-to-day routine, and eventually they're going to wake up and go, where did my life go, and what did I do with it?
All right. So for you, how hard was it to admit that you had become a spectator in your own life?
I don't think it was necessarily hard for me to admit, really. It was just like, okay, now that I understand what's going on, and my eyes have been open to this world where I can pursue things that God has put on my heart. And I'm understanding now that it's actually my duty and my obligation to do so. And if I don't pursue those things that He's put in my heart, then am I really living from a place of faith? Like once I noticed that, it really was not super difficult to admit that I'd been like, oh wow, I was just kind of chilling and cruising, because I didn't know any better. It was I didn't have that wake up call. I didn't really see the world in a different light. Like I was just looking, I was like, you know what, this is what I'm supposed to do. There was something in me that wasn't happy. There was something in me that was already dissatisfied, but I really didn't know what to do with it, and I didn't even know that it was okay. I was like, well, maybe something's wrong with me because I mean, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I have the job. I'm married now. I'm starting a family. I have the house. Um, I don't feel great. I don't feel fulfilled, but I'm doing what everybody's told me to do. So I just didn't know. So I think that's where a lot of guys are now is, they've fallen asleep at the wheel, and life is going by, and they've just kind of decided that, it's too late for me to chase my dreams. It's too late for me to do any more than my life than just, go to work. I'm home, sit on the couch. And that's just not the case.
All right. So Sean, walking away from a steady corporate career to start a coaching business sounds like a risk, especially for a family man. Did you have moments of panic where you thought, I've made a huge mistake and failed my family? And if so, how did you fight that fear?
Absolutely. I've had a ton of those thoughts. Every now and then I still have those thoughts, but they're not near as frequent as they were when I first got started. But in terms of, how did I fight that? It was continuing to move forward, continuing to take action. It was calling on people, calling on men and brothers that I know, that I trust, to speak into my life, to speak to me plainly, to speak to me the truth, to reassure me that I was doing the right things. That's probably the biggest piece that has allowed me to continue to move forward, is having, other men in my life that I respect greatly that can speak into it, when I'm down and when I'm not in the best mental headspace.
Right. All right. So, Sean, you emphasize that leadership starts with the body. So, when your mind was burnt out, did physically training give you a sense of control that you couldn't find anywhere else?
Yes, it absolutely did. There's a quote, and I can't even remember who said it. I'm probably going to butcher it, but it's like the best antidote for an overly anxious mind is an overworked body. Basically,
Mm,
what that boils down to is like, okay, if you're in your head, if you're spending too much time there, if you're anxious, one of the best antidotes for that is going to work, physical work. And for a lot of us guys that work this, because my job now is mostly in front of a computer. And so going to the gym and putting my body through, hard physical exercise is a really great, especially for us men, because we all have this kind of primal instinct inside of us. Because we think, 100, 200, 300 years ago, uh, we were very much fighting to survive in a way. And so God has given us kind of this primal instinct to protect, ourselves and our families and our lands. And we really don't, it's kind of gone dormant in most men because, our life and our culture that we live in now, especially in the Western part of the world, is so easy, really, to an extent. Now there's hard things in life, but as far as, looking back on our ancestors and the people that came before us, what they had to go through and what they had to endure just to survive is insane compared to what we have to do now. Like I can order a cheeseburger and have it delivered to my door in and out. Like that is insane. So this primal instinct that has gone dormant inside of us really needs to be worked, needs to be trained, and manufacturing kind of that fight in the gym is an excellent way for a man to quiet his mind.
All right. So you work specifically with Christian men. So how do you help a man who feels he has failed spiritually because he hasn't been leading his home? And how do you move him from guilt to action?
It's a good question. So it's all about just kind of reframing where he is. Us feeling that guilt. Guilt has its purpose in terms of it can push us towards action, but most men that I come in contact with, they've kind of failed themselves to put themselves on the back burner because they feel like the only thing that they're allowed to do and the only thing that they can do is serve their families. So they feel like by, taking care of themselves, it's almost a selfish thing. So that's what I run into with most men. So it's the big piece of that is just reframing that and saying, no, like before your family, before your wife, before your kids, God made you. God made you with a purpose and a plan before you were a father, before you were a husband. And he still has a purpose and a plan for your life. And it's important for you to take care of you because then those people that are around you that you love so much, you can serve them from a place of abundance instead of a place of exhaustion and burnout.
All right, great response there. So you wrote that gluttony and laziness, you mentioned them as obstacles. Those are heavy words. So how do you confront those failures in yourself or your clients without shame and with a focus on growth?
Yeah, of course. So it's more of just kind of knowing and being rooted into the reason that why you need to be in shape. Like, why is it important for you to have self control? Why is it important for you to take care of your body? Why is it important for you to exercise? Why is it important for you to give your body good fuel? So, whenever we do something hard, whenever we do something difficult, especially something like battling, gluttony or laziness, we need to have a strong why behind it. The why that I have in particular is God gave me this body, and it is my job and my obligation to steward it well. So that's part of it, and the exercise and nutrition aspect of it. The other piece of it is God has placed me to in my family to lead my family, to protect my family, to provide for my family. So it is my job to make sure that I am physically capable of doing those things. So that's another why that I have, and then another one is I have two young sons, and I want to set the standard for them in terms of physical fitness and strength and masculinity. My clients, I have a standard that I need to keep up in order to serve them well. So that's the whys that I have. But it's very important when you're battling something like gluttony or laziness to figure out why you need to do it and to really understand that. And that's what we dive into in the beginning of our journey.
Great. So for the man listening right now who feels weak mentally or physically and feels like he's stuck on the sidelines while his family needs him. So what's the first non-negotiable step he needs to take today to get back in the game?
The first step would be we need to reframe his mindset to for him to remember that he is worth taking care of himself and that it is actually it's almost unselfish to take care of yourself first because then you truly can lead your family and take care of your family better than you ever thought you could now. So that's the first piece. Um, the second piece, if we're going practical, my advice would be just to start small. The problem with fitness and nutrition is when guys decide that they're going to change. We have January coming up, so we're getting ready to go into New Year's resolutions. And what a lot of people will do, this is my year. This is the year I'm going to change my life, and I'm going to change everything. Everything that I'm doing when it comes to food, and I'm going to lose all this weight. And they pretty much turn their life on its head completely in a matter of 24 hours from December 31st to January 1st. And what happens with that is it's just unsustainable because there's habits that you need to build, and there's this lifestyle shift that needs to take place in order for you to live as a healthy and strong version of yourself. So a good rule of thumb is just to start very, very small, and then we start stacking those wins day by day. And so you're creating those sustainable shifts versus saying, well, I'm just going to change everything right now and then getting burnout in 2 weeks. I would say creating those very small win, small momentum pieces that you can build one on top
All right. So, Sean, I have a personal question for you. So, after leaving the corporate ladder to build a life of physical and spiritual strength, I'd like to know, what does being successful truly mean to you now?
Good question. I think in terms of personal success, I want to see my two boys grow up to follow Jesus. That would be a number one
Mm,
in terms of personal success. Now, in terms of, like a business success, I just want to be able to have impact on guys and help them to wake up from the slumber that they're in. And I want to see them become the best version of themselves for their families, not necessarily for my glory, but for the glory of God and for the betterment of His kingdom. That's what I'm after. That's what success would look like for me.
all right. That is indeed an amazing response, Sean. Finally, for our listeners who want to connect with you or learn more about your coaching program, so where is the best place for them to go?
Yeah, so a couple different options. I would say, if you want to send me a DM, I am on all social media platforms. So Facebook at Sean McManus, Instagram, X, and TikTok at the Sean McManus. And then if you will look in my bio on Instagram, there is a Linktree link, and you can click on that link. And I've actually created a self-confidence assessment for Christian men. So if you click on that Linktree link and then click free assessment, that's a tool that I've created that will you'll take the quiz, the Linktree quiz, and you'll go through the assessment, and then you'll actually get action steps for the next 7 days based on your answers in order to help you reset your confidence in the next 7 days. So feel free to use that tool and use it to improve your self confidence.
All right, Sean, it's been a truly inspiring conversation with you here today, and I'm really, really excited to have you on the show.
Ezekiel, thank you, brother. It's been an honor and a pleasure to be with you today.